It's that one-stop shop that I keep trying to emphasize for developers. We're going to handle your code generation. We're going to handle showing you what that looks like. We're going to handle that compiling. And finally, and probably most importantly, we're going to handle that deployment and hosting of that app. It's there. It's good to go. You are now making money.
This is the Autheo Network.
Welcome to the Autheo Network podcast. This is one of the many podcasts that we'll be having, and this is a show for builders, creators, and innovators who want to build beyond the limits of traditional blockchain paradigms, where security, identity, and composability aren't afterthoughts, but foundational reality. Autheo isn't just another blockchain. It flips the traditional infrastructure model on its head. It's built to make decentralized systems secure, governed, and monetizable at a scale by unifying infrastructure, identity, compute, and AI into one cohesive operating layer. I know, guys, these are like too many jargons, but yeah, come on. This is blockchain. This is Web3 for you. And Autheo is one of the blockchains that is not just it's talking about the decentralization, but it's going beyond that. Where we'll be talking about quantum resistance, we'll be talking about AI. And at the end of this February, Autheo was present at ETHDenver. By the way, ETHDenver is one of the biggest and most influential Web3 builder gatherings. And we did activations in the Makerspace, Taco Tuesday gatherings, the BV Pitch Fest. And today we are sitting down with Edward, the Chief Product Officer at Autheo, and David, the VP of Product, to hear their product takeaways, ecosystem insights, and how the broader Web3 world is evolving. So, how was ETHDenver in general, like for both of you?
ETHDenver was great. I will say it was my first conference experience as a professional, so it was eye-opening, to say the least, to see that kind of stuff firsthand. But ultimately, I think it was really good to see how many developers are out there in the Web3 space. You know, for product people, being able to go out and like be close to your customers is harder because we're always building software. We're building digitally. You know, your customers are giving you feedback via email or manic threads in Discord that something's broken, not usually face-to-face. So it was good to see and get out there with people.
Awesome.
Yeah, I was just going to kind of echo that. You know, it was really nice getting to work directly with some of the people near our booths. Apparently, that's something that, you know, didn't really get to happen a lot in previous events that I was informed of because of just the massive scale of it all. There was so many more buildings in previous events. They would actually have like multiple event floors that you'd have to traverse between versus, you know, due to the smaller scale, I found that we were all kind of able to really get to know the people near us and talk to them and work with them and find out what they're building along with, you know, let them find out what we're building. There was a lot. There was a lot going on, and you know, trying to see it all was a hard task to accomplish, especially when, you know, we're trying to focus on, you know, Autheo and having one of us at our booth at all times to make sure that we're always interacting and pulling people aside as well.
When you think back on ETHDenver this year, what are like one or two moments or themes that immediately stand out to you, and why?
Yeah, sure. I think one of the crazier things we saw was actually right next to us. We got placed near a guy named Noah. Absolutely amazing guy. He really actually not only was he fun to talk to about his projects, but he actually worked with us a lot on our project as well, just right there in the booth, helping write some code and design a few things with one of our engineers, Lucas. But what he was working on was really neat. He was basically working on a peer-to-peer mesh network for cellular signals. So, you know, using a band of service out there that's not, you know, actively being employed by AT&T or Verizon or all those big dogs, you know, grabbing a free band, having my phone tethered to his phone tethers to Edward's phone tethers to the guy next to him, infinitely scaling outwards mesh network. And if I wanted to text somebody and say, hey man, what's up, to a guy halfway across the world, well, I don't have to ping off of a cell tower. I don't have to pay AT&T. I don't have to pay Verizon. I get to bypass all of that. And using this peer-to-peer mesh network, have calls, texts, any of that for literally free and not have to pay for a cell signal or cell provider at all if this scale of this mesh network could hit critical mass. I mean, talk about trying to undermine or you know, blow past the Web 2 world. That was right up our alley, and it was so cool to be able to sit right next to him and really talk to him about his project and see where he's at.
I mean, that's the beauty of P2P network. What about you, Edward? How was it for you?
You know, I think David kind of summed up what we saw was there are builders that want to build the way we think.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the biggest takeaway for me was, you know, you work on a project for so long with just your team and you see a way of the world that is different, but to see actual individuals out there that are like, no, we want independence, we want privacy, we want security as a core thing of the things we build on. That tied a huge vision of ours into the world. And so it was really cool seeing that there over and over again, as we talk to different people and go through those conversations with different people, the overall theme of the event was kind of dual purpose. You had developers coming together to build. You saw the hackathons. You saw the dev meetups to get into the basics of blockchain. But besides the people trying to get their businesses promoted and having talks and about the industry, there was an underlying sense of just people want privacy, people want security, people want to be independent from these mainstream big tech companies or big
Yeah.
agencies out there. And it's kind of the ethos of Web3 in the first place, like a little degen, little independent streak out there. But the vibe of that was just present through the whole thing.
Oh man. If you had to sum up like ETHDenver 2026 in just one sentence for someone like me who wasn't there, what would tell that one sentence?
I mean, the message I thought was getting across was come out and build.
Okay.
Whether it's one specific chain, one specific problem to solve, ultimately it was how do we engage in this community and build? That was by far the biggest message I think was there, regardless of it. Bring multiple different viewpoints of the world together and build in this new way of thinking, the new decentralized way. Web3 is a movement all of its own. And how do you reinforce that with builders? And it starts with builders.
Awesome. David, what about you?
I would say the singular message I got was growth.
Okay.
From my time there, I noticed a lot of individual products that on their own stand strong and really captivated me. And I've got a list myself that I personally use in my own day to day. But the problem that I'm seeing is growth. You could have the best idea in the world, you could replace Google top to bottom, but if you don't get users.
I mean, it's good to be a builder, but you'll have to pitch your product to the masses so that at least they use it. So what did you see or hear in the talks, side events, or like hallway conversations that made you think this is where the blockchain is heading over the next 12 to 24 months?
What I really took away from that was the individuality of the applications, right? I think blockchain tech has been innovated on in a way that we haven't really had a clear strategic direction on how to use it or what people are using it for. Obviously, tokens, NFTs, all that have been made over and over, time and time again. But I think people are really wanting to see some usability from it, something that they can get their hands on and helps their day to day, rather than something that's often being used as just a money making or an investment. And so what I got a lot from was that app development. Somebody making an app that's on a blockchain that really provides you with something, some functionality, something to make your life better. Something as simple as a Google Docs replacement, just something as complicated as airline miles, or even that mesh network that I talked about. I really think that's the drive forward is some usability from the tech rather than from a pure financial aspect.
Okay.
I was just going to say, echoing that from David completely, one of the biggest themes was not just another DeFi app, not just another decentralized something because it can be there. People want to hear about how I can use this technology in my personal life. How can this benefit me more than just another currency? How many meme tokens are out there? How many tokens are out there in general? Like, how many do people hold? People want something that provides utility, provides value, provides a service that actually leverages the technology to solve a problem. And that's what I think the biggest theme was. People want that and desire that.
Yeah, actually, Edward, that's true. And I mean, narratives come and go, but ultimately, people will use what they need and not what is made for them. Coming like on the same point, I would like to extend the same question. Like there are multiple narratives in Web3, which always feel overhyped. So according to you, can you give some narratives which you felt that were overhyped when you were there?
I mean, to me, like zero knowledge proofs by themselves, DeFi in general seems like probably the biggest thing that as you wandered through the booths or the talks, everyone is taking a different stance on how their tokenomics are the better ones or how their DeFi is going to be better than the 6 other DeFis that do the same functions just on a different chain. I think those are some of the bigger ones to me that stood out, is that everyone's doing the exact same thing. They're just doing it on their own chain, not working together to make it a really usable experience. So that to me is probably the biggest one of overhype.
Yeah, not just six, but 60 other DeFis and
And yeah.
multiple layer twos, multiple layer threes.
Mhm.
Okay, David, just the same question for you, but exactly opposite actually. What were some quiet trends that you think are underrated right now, which nobody talked about at ETHDenver?
I think the thing that is not being talked about enough is the fact that, as Edward said, all these people are out there, showing off their new DeFi app or their new Layer One app. But I think the thing that's actually not being talked about enough is the momentum forward for people trying to actually, engage. There's a lot of these people reaching out, trying to start their own version of whatever it might be, and causing more fragmentation, honestly, within the Web3 world. And I think that playing right into that is the people showing less and less interest. I saw a lot of people trying to engage, a lot of people, showing interest, going booth to booth, that would just kind of lose interest the moment that they saw that. And I think that a lot of developers need to know that going forward. If you're coming into the Web3 space, I really think you need to make a name for yourself, develop something new and exciting, because I don't think enough people are paying attention to that. The engagement from the populace is really starting to happen. You're starting to see people come to this show that don't really know what a blockchain is. They don't understand what Web3 is, but they're ready to get involved. They're ready to have something tangible that they can use as just a regular average citizen. And you need to capture that. You need to know what they want and how to engage them, rather than the typical Web3 developer of past who is just down for your new DeFi app, down for your new Layer 1 token, whatever it might be. And I think that's not being talked about enough.
Yeah. And first of all, especially in Web3, getting the concept clear are very important and one of the most difficult things. That's why I see a lot of developers and builders going straight into AI these days. They started with Web3, but now they are just creating another chat GPT wrapper. But it's fine. I mean, as long as they are making something useful, something creative, we're good, right? But from the product leadership perspective, what did eDenver confirm or challenge about our current strategic bets for Autheo?
Absolutely. So I think the confirmation was the desire for less of a fragmented Web3, right? I've kind of been pushing that narrative a lot myself, trying to get out in front of people. We need a singular shop for all of this. I always hesitate to make comparisons to the Web2 world, but if my father wanted to download an app, he can open the App Store on his phone. We all have our own issues with Google or Apple, and I can go into that list any day of the week, but there's a singular place to do it. And the fact that that doesn't exist, I think, is really killing a lot of it, and that's a lot of what I think Autheo was trying to push forward. Is having this kind of singular unified layer 0 experience or Web3 experience. I think that there was a lot of good reception to that, and figuring out how to pitch that was one of the challenges that I personally faced at ETHDenver.
Okay. What about you, Edward?
Yeah, I mean, I think what was confirmed is that people are interested in privacy, security. You've got various things happening in the news over the last few years that people are just like, I'm tired of being the product. You got a lot of that in ETHDenver. And kind of on the flip side, there was a lot of challenge to, that's been tried before on the OS side. And what those people eventually turned around the other way and said, oh, now I see why yours is different. Now I see how your approach is different. That actually was interesting to see people flip as the days went on or as conversations went on of like, it's not just another private play. It's an operating system. It's a Windows, it's a Linux. And that's a big, hairy goal to try to hit. It's a big target to take off the top of the list. But what it gives you the opportunity to talk about is, well, now if you have that, imagine the apps you can build in that you own and monetize from the beginning. It's not, oh, well, I have to pay a subscription fee up front. Well, no, you pay for landing your data on the blockchain, but that's it. Imagine what you can build on a system that is private from the beginning and consents managed at the core infrastructure layer. That flips that script. And one of the things that I see changing is the reliance of companies on ad revenue, because now you can monetize it as an individual. It's no longer the network can monetize you. It's you can decide.
Yeah. And I think knowledge plays a very big part in transitioning people into them, like making them understand these problems. Like a lot of people don't understand these problems. They just don't know what they are paying for. There's a saying that says, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. So a lot of users us who are using these applications, like centralized applications, Web2 applications, like we are literally are the ones who are paying for everything, and we don't even realize it by giving our data, by giving our access,
Hmm.
giving everything. But yeah, I think these kind of things which we are doing, that can really change the mindset of the users. We are transitioning from Web2 to Web3 as builders, but they'll have to also transition as a user.
Hmm.
But yeah, so it's quite evident like you guys have engaged with a lot of builders and partners, potential customers. So in all these conversations, what problems kept coming up that you believe Autheo is uniquely positioned to solve? What is the gap that you're filling with Autheo?
So Autheo kind of is in a unique position. I think there's quite a few gaps that we're trying to fill, but I think the place that I'll start with is
Yeah.
trying to bridge that fractured ecosystem together. We're not looking to just make another DeFi app. We're not looking to just make another crypto token here. We want to allow developers from all ecosystems come and have a central place to host whatever it might be. The amount of chains we're going to support, the amount of wallets we're going to support. We're really just trying to be that one-stop shop for developers, and that's kind of again how I was pitching it, right? Is if
Mhm.
you are looking to make a website, but on a Web3 platform, we should be able to do that for you. If you're looking to host an app that is a Tinder clone, we should be able to host that for you. If you're looking to replace Amazon Web Services and have your hosting costs for your website be a fraction or a fraction, we're looking to do that for you. Being that one-stop shop and just allowing all developers to come to us and host here, nominal fees, nothing like what's out there right now, but still allow them to have access to whatever blockchain they want to access, have that interconnectivity. We're not forcing them to stick with us. We're not just another blockchain. Hey, you get to develop on us and now you're on us. Having that outward reach is really what I'm trying to drive, and what I was really trying to talk to people there about, and what we're really trying to do here at Autheo.
Okay. What about you, Edward?
Yeah, I mean, David covered the biggest one.
Yeah.
That interoperability piece is the biggest thing. But what we're also looking to do is really be a place where people can leverage this tech. Driving towards a Web3 operating system means you have decentralized identity, you have decentralized storage, you have decentralized compute. All of that's an ecosystem and an economy of itself, because you're going to have nodes contributing compute, contributing storage to that. It needs to be robust. It needs to be secure. And ultimately, it needs to handle customers on the indie developer scale, the enterprise developer scale, and be able to provide the value to all of those kind of customers. Because ultimately, that adoption thing isn't going to win the day if you don't have people from all walks of life, all backgrounds, all industries being able to use it and leverage those unique capabilities we have, because we're based on a blockchain, because we have that auditability, that secure ledger. It is something you can't get anywhere else, and takes the power out of some of the bigger tech companies' sales to a little bit, because they're putting it back to the individual. But I remember those days when I was young, that the internet was about that. It wasn't about, can I host it on 3 different clouds to be extra sure that I won't go down on my website. The merits of this server versus that server. And it was about building, it was about engaging with other people that you couldn't otherwise, because they don't live in your town. That was the early internet. And we're going back there a little bit.
Collaboration.
To go collaboratively build and really own things from the start.
Yeah, that's really insightful, actually. And on the same note, like we were just talking about identity, privacy, right, which people are focusing on these days, especially the builders. So, Edward, do you find any teams who are integrating identity, privacy, or trust in their applications or in their ideas, which you didn't expected? Like, are there any some anecdotes or some ideas which you saw in the products that people are building out there?
I saw everyone touching it. Everyone wanted to allude to privacy or add on security or add these things because people are interested in it. You could tell as they talked about it, though, it wasn't their secret sauce. It wasn't their thing that they wanted to hang their hat on. It was something they were bolting on because people said they needed it, or they wanted to bring it in because other people were doing it. It's a flavor of the week kind of thing. It wasn't something they were considering their core.
Okay.
I think that was the biggest takeaway takeaway for me was as you had these conversations, you could see what was the thing they were most passionate about, and then the thing they were adding to the conversation because everyone wants to hear that.
That's the one of the points. What
Yeah.
about you, David? Like, do you find any teams who are integrating identity and privacy to their ideas?
No, I don't really have a different answer. I really was disappointed, to be honest with you. It really seemed like kind of an assumption to me was being made by a lot of the teams. Like, oh, well, we're building a Web3 app on a blockchain, so by definition, we are secure. By definition, we're
Mhm.
private. It's like, well, no, that's not true. But a lot
You
of
are the
people were just
opposite of it.
yeah, a
You
little
are,
bit, and it seemed like there was a lack of industry knowledge to some degree. I
yeah,
felt where they would casually mention privacy, but then when asked
yeah.
about how, well, we're a blockchain company, of course we're private, and it was honestly one of the more disappointing things I saw. And it's okay because again, their focus was that app development. Their focus was we're making a thing, a usable thing that your dad could use. Awesome, I'm all for that. But the lack of a privacy statement was very much an afterthought for a lot of what I
Mhm.
saw.
You're more public on blockchain than your simple Web2 applications. Everybody can
Exactly.
see your transactions there.
That brings Autheo into the picture. If you want to think about privacy, if you want to consider that, if you want that to be a part of your app, that's what we can integrate. That's what we
Yeah.
have. That's what by default you get when you develop with Autheo. We provide that level of privacy that integrates seamlessly into that Tinder clone, into that loyalty point app, into anything. We integrate seamlessly with your app to give you that high level of privacy.
Let's expand on that topic. What all ideas we can plant in the developer's mind? Like a lot of people are watching right now. So what they can build actually to leverage the privacy factor or the trust factor from the Autheo blockchain. What they can build.
Yeah, I mean the privacy at our core and the security at our core is really unique because you ask what could you build? I could counter that with a kind of a sassy statement and say what couldn't you? Because
Okay.
now you can look at, oh, it's more than just a login. Now you're securing the transactions from your service accounts inside of an application, moving data from one thing to another, where all of that is logged on chain and this data was logged in the database at this time and it was David's fault, so we can go fire David if you wanted to. But like you can have that auditability and traceability for any app. Just because you've built it on Autheo, it starts to become core to your application. So you could think this could affect the transportation industry. You could say, oh, well, all that data from your car gets downloaded once a night and allows you to interact with your insurance company and get better rates because you drove more safely. You could build an app for your phone that allows you to keep track of your miles because you're a self-employed gig worker, and it does that by pinging privately between your car and your phone and logging all those miles without you having to enter the data. You could do a website, just an authorization of your website, and keep all of your customers' data private and secure because they granted you consent to see their data. Now, all of that becomes private and secure based on your application. No one outside that application can see what's going on in there and understand for the first time ever, there's going to be apps that are truly secure. Even the person running the app won't know what's in it unless you give them consent. It goes back to zero knowledge proofs as well. You can do secure calculations on encrypted data potentially. All of these things exist if you keep that security and privacy at your core, where you can build an app that literally allows you to approve someone's medical procedures and no one actually has to see what happens. Only the computers talk to each other. There are things that we can build on this that wouldn't be possible otherwise because there would be a central database in the way, or someone would have to approve your access. Think of HIPAA compliance too. You have to keep things encrypted and stored safely all through the journey of it and prevent those things from being seen by anybody else, even casually. This would allow that to happen. Only people that are allowed to see it can see it. Otherwise, you get yes or no answers. Those are huge things to do. And so I'm excited to see what people do build on our system, because there are questions that even I don't have answers to, because every time you think of something, there are more ideas that spawn off of it. A secure messenger, a secure email that takes Proton Mail to the next level. You could go down any application that you can think of. Name one right now on the spot. What's an application that you can think of?
Facebook.
So Facebook is a great one, because imagine a Facebook where you only grant consent to your family members to see the images and posts that you send. You can have that nucleus of people that can see your content and you can share and stay connected with. But if you aren't the one sharing it out, they could never forward your post to somebody else.
Yeah.
You know exactly who can see your pictures, who you're sharing it with, especially for those people with kids out there, or people don't have to worry, is that image going to get shared with someone, or are people going to find out where I am based on the picture I took in Cancun, sort of situation that never has to enter your mind, because the only people that have that information and could show it to anybody would have to physically show them their phone or their tablet so that they could see it. They couldn't see it any other way. It would never get shared. And so that consent management is huge too.
Yep, exactly. There are a lot of use cases. I mean, as a someone who is building this right now, we can't really constrain the users on what they can build. The ideas are endless, it's limitless. So let the viewers do the creative stuff and let them build what they can on this tech. But yeah, we have a variety of viewers right now. I'm sure they're coming from different backgrounds. So how do you describe the ideal Autheo customer based on what resonated the most at ETHDenver? How would you characterize them?
A developer who wants to do something now, not someone who's looking for integration with AWS and, getting billed by Amazon, weekly, or someone who wants to, link themselves to the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, none of that. Somebody who wants to develop for themselves, to make money for themselves, and to, be more in control of what they're making. Someone who wants 100% of that ownership towards themselves. Someone who doesn't want to give up 30% every time a purchase is made on Apple. Somebody who doesn't want to give up thousands of dollars of AWS instance just because some bot got a hold of your website and started refreshing your website. Oh, congrats! Amazon wants another $1,000. Somebody who wants ownership for themselves and to pay for what they're truly using and to earn what they've truly made, and not give up a single cent of that to some big corporation just because that's the typical way to do it. That's who I would say should be using Autheo.
Perfect. That's me.
I think it's a lot of us, really. I think that's the most surprising thing to me is, in my head, what I'm describing is it's almost de facto. Why would you ever go to Amazon? Why would you ever go and lose 30% to Google? It doesn't make sense. What we're trying to offer is truly just a win-win situation. There's no actual loss from getting away from those sites. We're just trying to give you the power. We're trying to give you your money back, and we're trying to make you earn what you developed. So it really should just be all developers, but I think there needs to be that headspace of developers looking for that future growth. I can't tell an AWS engineer to get away from AWS. Fair enough.
What about you, Edward? Would you like to add something on top of it?
Yeah, I mean, independent people that fall in the middle of all those hairy conversations, those are the people that we want to come to this sort of developer ecosystem. It's people that understand how, a developer monetizes themselves. They're looking to have a community and have an app that solves a real problem for people and not gouge anybody or charge an extreme amount to become the next unicorn. They just want to make a money and have a living. They want to be able to build something for somebody, maybe for a really specific niche, but they want to serve that niche to the best of their ability and make money while they're doing it and not worry about all their startup costs being lost in AWS costs or Google Console costs or just hosting costs in general. And that'll trickle down to individual users as well as the industry continues to push on making things that much easier to do and not as scary. An operating system like this will bring those developers, and those developers are solving problems for people, and they will find the ways to be able to do it. And especially when you can say, oh yes, and your data is private and your data is secure and it is always yours. And people are going to want to reward that. Yes, we do want to find businesses that want to take on that first adopter sort of mantra. But at the same time, I go back to a quote from Remember the Titans. It's like Novocaine, just give it time. I think it was the main coach that said it. But you've got to give some of these things time to hit in, and then it works. It's going to be something that it is a little bit of a slow build, but we want those developers. We want the creators. We want the builders that want to figure out how to monetize on a platform that's truly private and not only lean into the distribution that these big platforms have. We want the small guy first. And that's what'll get us the bigger fish.
Yeah. And the same framework can work for anybody who's creating whatever in their life, right? It's not just about builders who are just building applications or softwares or protocols, but it can be artists, it can be scientists, it can be anyone who is building something, who is creating something, and they want to take it to the masses. Am
Absolutely.
I right?
Absolutely. I mean, imagine the ability for a
Yeah,
creator, say on YouTube or Instagram, to be able to own their content
yeah.
from recording to publishing end to end.
And to
Because
distribution. Yeah,
and the distribution, like, yes, you're going to have hooks into bigger networks because there's networks that are already out there. I mean, you can't fight the fact that Facebook has billions of users or YouTube has
yeah,
billions of users. That's a big thing to fight, but we need them all at once. Facebook didn't
yeah,
start that way either.
yeah.
It was
At one point, televisions had more views than Facebook. Now television
yep.
have barely any views. All the
Yeah.
eyeballs are on the small screens, and we are using whether it is for Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. But yeah, the things change.
Things
That's what I'm trying
change.
to say. Yeah, cool. So interesting that we were talking about AWS and Amazon in our examples. And do you guys know about the recent this outage that happened in UAE because of the fire that happened in the AWS center there, the ME Central one? Have you heard about that news? Can we
I
talk
feel
about it?
like I hear about an AWS outage almost every other week at this point. I can't keep up with them. It's honestly exhausting how often my websites go down. I have a few websites out there right there, and I'm looking to migrate them to Autheo as soon as possible because that I feel like every other week I can't access one of the other ones, or I can't go download a game on Steam, or I can't do something because hey, AWS went out. Tough. Have fun waiting while we get it back up.
What can I do?
It's wrong. Like it's funny, but it's so wrong that it's in
Yeah.
2026 and this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. I mean, I think with any of the, if you look at any of the big internet providers, I mean, look at Cloudflare and what they had happen.
Yeah.
Microsoft has had it happen. Those centralized points are both good and
Mhm.
horrible as single points of failure. Yes, they build for reliability. Yes, they build for being able to maintain that, but they are never going to be able to say close to 100% uptime. Decentralization brings that. And imagine an OS that you can know is going to work every single time, all the time, on any device, and is private.
24/7.
Exactly.
Like-
I remember often in some of my previous roles, they would emphasize 3 nines or the 2 nines. And I'm sure it's something developers have heard a lot about, right?
Mhm.
That means 99.39% uptime or 29% uptime. It's incredible how much you have to think about that, how much you have to, mental capacity to use on a daily basis and make sure everything you're doing maintains those 3 nines because you know your boss is going to get on your case if you go even up 0.001% below. It's just
Mhm.
it's a ridiculous standard, and so let's just solve that. You should either have 100% because the software just works and it's
Yeah.
always online, or not. I mean,
AI is non-deterministic, but we can determine this for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. That was a good conversation. Okay, coming back to the ETHDenver conversation that we're having. Based on what you guys saw or heard at Denver, what's one product decision or roadmap item you now feel significantly more conviction about? And one area where you want to double down or like accelerate?
A decentralized operating system is the way of the future. That is like daily at ETHDenver, where if you started talking about how, oh, you could have the same operating system on any device and it's secure, it's your data. I mean, it becomes almost like a mantra because it's so powerful to say, oh, well, isn't that Linux? Well, no, not quite. It's free and open source, but it's not decentralized. Well, Windows has got all the things you need. Why would you build on something else? Well, the decentralization of the infrastructure is what will give us what we just talked about, that near 100%. Like, let's talk about like 100 nines. Is that fair, David, to go 100 nines after that 99.9?
Yeah.
That's a crazy number to consider, but the decentralization and the privacy that Web3 can bring to an operating system is what's going to make us all feel more confident in how we approach the world, how we approach our online world. How many passwords do we have to remember?
Oh man.
How many accounts, how many different accounts are there out there? Imagine if you could tie all those to one thing.
What a silly thing we have to deal with in 2026. I still can't get over it.
And so if you have an operating system that's got identity and security at its core where, oh yeah, there's not a password manager in Chrome and the operating system and the website, and you don't have to deal with that anymore. It's like, oh, we're going to have a secure secure, easily accessible app. And all you did was say, I want to use that app. And now you can use it and you can pay for it if you need to. And you can pay the developer. You don't have to pay their hosting, and you don't have to imagine what prices go down to.
Oh my
For
goodness.
service apps, because they don't have to pay all those overheads. So yeah, that's where I think the conviction. We'll probably talk about this more and more and more and more. But yes, decentralized Web3 operating system is the bet that I'm going to double down on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously what Edward said is probably our number one hitting point. So let me kind of hit on what I think was the number two, and that was kind of the application development itself. I think something that sparked a lot of eyes when I talked about it was, let's say you want to go make an application, right? I'm sure I could go off to Chat GPT, and I'm sure I could ignore all the security concerns that exist there. Let's just ignore the security for a second, and I can ask ChatGPT, give me an app, make me a Tinder clone, right? That's
Make
cool,
no mistakes.
right? I have all this code that maybe works. I don't know where to put it. I don't know where to host it. Maybe it can give you some instructions on what to do with it. It's really quite not finished. What opened up a lot of eyes and what I saw as being our number two biggest gateway into bringing people on board was, that extra step. We don't just shoot you code. We don't just say, yeah, here's some code. We're going to allow you to, interact with our AI, develop code, develop an app, see real time what you're developing. Oh, it looks like this. No, change the banner to be pink. Banner goes pink. Code change. Like, you're seeing what you're developing real time, and we don't just stop there. I want my app live. It looks good. I want us making money now. Cool. Deploy my app. Our AI is going to put that on the blockchain. It's live. It's there. People can download it. There's no messing around with it. There's no having to figure out what to do with it now. There's no having to set up other accounts with other platforms. It's that one-stop shop that I keep trying to emphasize for developers. We're going to handle your code generation. We're going to handle showing you what that looks like. We're going to handle that compiling. And finally, and probably most importantly, we're going to handle that deployment and hosting of that app. It's there. It's good to go. You are now making money. That opened up a lot of eyes. People really like that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a builder, I'm excited because I'm really frustrated, stitching together 10 different workflows, 10 different tech stacks. And then end of the day, I get 404.
Yeah, exactly. I do it all the time here at Autheo, right? I've been trying to develop, side apps. It's just a waste of time. It needs better. We need better.
Coming to at the end of the podcast, and this is the question of the hour. What's next for Autheo?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we talked a lot about identity here. That is going to be one of the first things we see released to our testnet. David's taking point on that. One of the other ones to watch for is our mainnet going live. We're targeting the end of March here, being when that goes live. Stay tuned. Obviously, check out autheo.com for the latest. But those are our two biggest milestones, and I think everything kind of builds from that. Our OS starts to build off of that. Our browser builds off of the identity, but that security at our core, that identity at our core is what allows us to branch out into decentralized storage, decentralized compute, where users can get rewarded for contributing their resources to the network so that it can be used to do those deployments that David was just talking about. Obviously, one of the things that we're looking to publish on our website is going to be that roadmap of where we think things are going to launch and where we think the order of operations is coming. So we want to get that message out there that, keep your eyes open for the podcast to talk about releases, to talk about what's coming next. But we are going to have quite a bit, starting with that mainnet and that identity product.
Yeah. David, what about you?
Edward's right. I'm working diligently on getting Autheo ID out there. A lot of the teams and developers that I'm working with are really fine tuning and putting a bow on a lot of things here. So I'm really excited to finally get that out, put that out there and see what people can do with it. The biggest thing I'll add to that is the product after that. We're also, deep into development, and I can't wait for that one to release as well. That's really going to unify things. That's going to be our centralized kind of hub experience that allows you to come in and mess with those AI tools, mess with those, marketplace tools. It's really mess with that IDE, compiler deployment, all that. That's also down the line, and that's going to make waves. I really think so. Autheo ID is next, TGE after that, and then the hub experience. Looking forward to it. Really am.
Yep. And everybody who's watching, all the links to these things, especially the mainnet launch, you'll get in the descriptions. We're really excited and we want you to be part of it. Check out the website and the roadmap. Okay, one last question for the builders or users in our audience who want to get involved. Like, what's the best next step which you think they should go for?
I can speak to that. Join our Discord. We have an early access newsletter, which puts your email address in the hopper to get the latest updates from us on when things are going to be releasing. So do come out and check out the website, get your name on those lists, join the Discord, join the Telegram. Those things are all available on our website. But get involved. Tell us what you're interested in. Tell us what you'd most like to see in a decentralized operating system. We had cards at our booth in Denver asking, what would you like to see most? And privacy and security was probably number one.
Easily.
But we want to engage with you. We're product people. We're building a business here. We want to talk to our developers. So come out and check us out. Come out and interact with us. And we'll be there on Discord. We'll be there on Telegram, and check out our website for latest news.
I just want to add to that. My message will be for developers. Start thinking, start getting creative, and start deciding what you want to build. Once this is out there, we can make that happen for you way quicker than any of the tools out there. I want to see people coming to the table with your app ideas, and I want us to make those come to life for you. I want you to start making money for your app quicker than any other product out there. And that's what I want to see. People thinking and ready with those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. The last wisdom drops here. And that's a wrap of the ETHDenver recap. If today's conversation about identity, security, AI, and ecosystem signals got you thinking, head to autheo.com to explore how we are building the quantum-proof operating system. We are building a full-scale decentralized operating system for the connected intelligent web. Follow us here as well on Twitter, on X, on Substack, and join the conversation in our Discord and Telegram. Also, whoever is watching and who was part of ETHDenver, do drop your takeaways in the comment section, and let's connect. Let's talk about whatever ideas you have, whatever things you have to build on Autheo. And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.